Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
Are your children, your adult children, concerned about your health? I know that mine are because it seems like there's always something happening to me, and I'm reporting to them, oh, yeah, I fell and injured myself and haven't been able to go to the gym for 2 weeks, and those kind of reports. But as we get older, we don't want to face the fact that sometimes things are going on with our bodies that we just have to adjust. We do have to eat healthier. We may have to give up some of the things that we ate as teenagers. We're not teenagers anymore. We can't do the hamburger and fries and milkshake thing driving in a drive-through. We really have to cut back on some things, and there is a resistance to that. But sometimes there are things going on if you don't regularly go to the doctor, have things checked, will sneak up on you. I don't want to tell scary stories, but I've had a couple of friends who had diagnosis of serious diseases, had not been going to the doctor for one reason or another, and then 4 weeks later they're dead after they find out they're stage 4 of whatever their thing is. And it has been a little frightening because these people have not been what we would consider old. They are middle age, but that's the time you got to start taking care of yourself. And I know for a fact that a person very dear to me needed to have cataract surgery, but because a member of her family had a horrible accident that happened when she went to the eye doctor, decided not to get this surgery that was required and ended up going blind. Now, we can't be frightened about things, but when you have warning signals, there's enough AARP stories and articles to warn you about certain symptoms about yourself. And if you take care of yourself, there's no reason for your adult children to be worried that you're not taking care of yourself. Sisters, what are your thoughts?
Hi. Well, the one thing we have to address is our community's hesitancy and some earned suspicion of the medical community. That's one thing. And the three of us are baby boomers. So we are probably the last generation that is much more suspicious of the medical community, but we're not the only generation that has been harmed. Black maternal deaths and Black infant deaths are higher than in some developing countries in this country. Black more people of color uh, died from COVID before there was a vaccine. Many people are still hesitant about vaccines because of real concerns and real racist uh, harms that have been done to our community. Now, saying all of that, we should not be as hesitant about being healthy in our older years or even in our younger years. I mean, obesity is at an all-time high. Type 2 diabetes is at an all-time high, especially among the people who are lower income because they don't have a lot of access to fresh food and fresh vegetables because of food deserts and what I call food swamps, which are fast foods that proliferate in our communities. Now, the thing is that we are the ones, as we age and as we uh, see our children grow up, we have to be the ones who are really taking care of ourselves. I know my daughter also is always worried about my health because I will get up in the morning, late morning, so I'm rushing around trying to do things, and then I forget to eat, and by mid-afternoon I'm starving. And she'll say, "Mom, you do it to yourself." But the thing is that because we don't want to be a burden to our children, we need to be more cognizant of our health, as cognizant of as we were about our children's health and well-being, we need to do the same thing for ourselves, because we tend to martyr ourselves. And when our eyes start going, or we start having, excessive thirst or other symptoms of diabetes, we kind of say, well, that's just natural aging. Well, it isn't. And we need to go to doctors. We need to support doctors in our communities, which means, finding and supporting those Black doctors who will address those concerns. But we also need to go to the dentist regularly. We need to go to the eye doctor regularly. We need to find a primary care physician and go to them regularly. I think that's the problem, is that we are so suspicious as a community that we end up hurting ourselves, and which means that our children are going to be burdened with taking care of us before they should have to parent their parents.
Well,
Naima?
my daughter, of course, worries about me because I've always been excessive in terms of very driven and overworking. And she worries that I'm going to fall asleep behind the wheel of the car. She worries about my forgetfulness, things like that. And she worries about, I guess, my mental health more than anything. But in terms of health in general, we need to be more proactive in taking care of ourselves and taking responsibility for our health. You mentioned the doctors, and of course, you need to find a physician that you trust. But you also got to understand that this industry is a business.
Yes.
And we've been conditioned to think that when you get a certain age, you get in your 60s, you're supposed to have a medicine cabinet full of pills and bottles and potions and everything, because that's a normal part of aging, and it isn't. If you take care of your body, it will take care of you, and it doesn't break down. But that means eating healthy, that means getting proper rest, that means getting the checkups, but then also not being over medicated. And I know that I've seen friends who are in the medical industry. I've seen people who are in the holistic health industry. I've seen people who are aging and trying to not fall into the pattern of taking a lot of unnecessary medications. And there's a lot of pressure always for us to think everything can be solved with pharmaceutical products. And they never tell you about, if you change your diet, you will reverse diabetes. They say, oh, this is not curable. Oh, it's not reversible. Yes, it is. But they want you to keep taking the medications because that's how they get paid. And, when we can have a medical industry that is really having as its incentive, as its intention, the healing of people, and we take away the profit motive, then people will be given more good advice about how to maintain these bodies that are really designed for self-maintenance, self-healing, self-regeneration. Our cells rejuvenate themselves. What is it? Every 7 years, you're really a new person.
You're a whole new person.
A whole new person every 7 years. So I think if we can change the thinking from maybe the past several generations of people being programmed to be sick when they get older, to think things like diabetes is just a natural part of aging, or arthritis just a natural part of aging, or high blood pressure just a natural part of aging. None of it is natural. It all comes down to, it's going to show up however you abused your body over the years or neglected it or whatever. It's going to manifest at a certain time, after a certain number of years, but it's still reversible. And that's what many of our doctors are not teaching. So I recommend find a good holistic practitioner that's going to help you change the habits and establish the habits that will maintain your body's health. And
I think also when you are talking about finding a good holistic doctor, I think that you need to have a doctor, not only one that you can trust, but that you have built up a relationship with.
Yeah.
I have to tell you that I cried for days when my doctor died. She was young. She was very,
You don't want to do my operation?
What?
I don't want to hear about that. No.
No, that was
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
this doctor that I had, I had her ever since I'd moved down here. So I'd had her for 10 years. I
Mhm.
found her, if I may be so prejudiced, I looked through the doctors and I picked her because she was originally from Chicago. How vain is that? But I read her credentials and all this stuff about her. And yes, she was younger. And but she had three young kids. I think her oldest child was 9 and her youngest was like 3 when she passed. She died of cancer, and I never knew that. We would talk. I'd show her pictures of my kids, and talk to her about the Lord and all kinds of stuff. I'd come in. She would set aside time because she knew that I was going to talk. I'm there for a checkup or follow up. And I'm in there for like 45 minutes, and she hadn't even talked. She hasn't even said, "Okay, so how you feeling?" After I tell her all about my family and everything. And I
Mhm.
thought to myself, she's getting thinner. And then I immediately rebuked myself and said, well, fat people always think everybody's too skinny. And then a year ago, and I during the beginning of the pandemic, she passed. And when they called me, because my appointments had been kept being put off because she had been sick, and I thought,
Mhm.
oh, she has COVID, but it wasn't that. And I just remember I wasn't even expecting. I just bawled and bawled and bawled on the phone when they called me and told me that she passed, and they waited patiently for me to get myself together. I sent her mom a card and, all these other little things to console her mother, who is probably my age, to lose your daughter. But she was the kind of doctor who was always after me. Are you exercising? Are you eating this? Are you eating? And it wasn't in a mean way. It was almost like a concern. It was almost like my doctor had become like almost like my daughter, and
Mhm.
trying to. And the year that I lost 88 pounds, she was like jumping up and down, like, oh, you did it. You did really, really well, and congratulating me. And so I think part of finding a doctor that cares about you, and because she was all about getting me off of medicine. That's
That's
another
good.
clue. A
That's a good
doctor who
sign.
does not want to keep putting you on medication, but
Yes.
wants you to get off of it and use the things within your body to start help healing yourself naturally. And I know a lot of the older people that I know who are involved in ministry don't have any kind of insurance. And so they will let things go to the point of danger.
Oh yeah, yeah. And beware of the doctor that tells you that you're going to be on a medication for the rest of your life. That
Yes.
Well,
is
well,
not
this is
your
the
best
thing.
interest.
Yeah, I like to weigh on that because I am one of those people who takes a lot of medications, because there are such things as, when you only sleep, like 4 hours a night for many years because you work nights and your daughter is young, and it will trigger something like diabetes. And then there's high blood pressure, because I did not have gestational diabetes. I had nothing. I had a great pregnancy, even though I was 42 years old when I had my child. But I also listened when the doctor said, okay, try this medication. And then when that one stopped working, they wanted to put me on insulin. And I said, well, doesn't that make you gain weight? And she said, yeah, well, it can. Well, I says, well, I don't want to take anything that's going to make you gain weight, because then
You're in
you
that cycle.
constantly, it's like a
Yes.
battle like
Yes.
this, you know?
They
And
give you
so,
more, you gain more. They give you more, you gain more. They
Yes.
yes.
give you
So
more, you
what I
gain
did,
more.
so they gave me something that really controlled it. I lost some weight, and but the thing is that when my A1C got to the point where it was in the non-diabetic,
Mhm.
non-diabetic, then they want to start cutting the medicine so that it would come up. So they thought, well,
They
now
give
we're
you more
medicine
medicine.
too low. So it's like this constant, well, you're not sick now, but let's get you a little bit sicker, because that's what we find they need. I even had one nurse practitioner up my medication of one, double my medication for one of my medications, double the amount. Did not talk to my endocrinologist. Just said, well, this is what people tend to be having to do. And I said, you
Mhm.
have not even seen me. The doctor hasn't seen me. And And I said, and I don't think that you should be upping my dosage, doubling my dosage of simvastatin because this is what other people have done. I called my endocrinologist who looked at my numbers and said, you don't need the double. So there's all of these things that the healthcare industry will do. And I've been working. I mean, because I do believe that diabetes is reversible. If I lose enough weight, I think that will just go away, because we also have to think that diabetes also, there are more amputations in the Black community.
Yes. Yes.
More loss of eyesight,
Yeah.
retinopathy, which is the reason why, which can be controlled if we don't wait too long to go to the doctor. So we have to go to doctors who are going to help us either control it by like a sustained amount, so you're not constantly upping your dosage of everything, maybe get you on a nutrition plan so you can get healthier, because your goal should not necessarily be to just stay a little bit sick. And you're right that we do not have a healthcare industry. We have a sick care for-profit industry. If we had universal health care, there would be an investment in people living longer and living more healthily. But we don't. So
people have to take responsibility for
you have to take responsibility. And you know what? When you go to the doctor, take an advocate, because sometimes you're not going to remember what the doctor has said.
Or they'll scare you.
Or they'll scare you. Or they'll send you, like with Daddy, come home with a shopping bag full of medications. A lot of times as we get older, we will forget, are you supposed to take this once a day, twice a day, once a week? You can't remember. So, you take, even if they have all the things, set down, like when I
have little trays where you have your pills each day.
Oh, I do that every time I go away. But you know what's funny is that they don't always tell you everything either. Ask a nurse. I was taking my cholesterol medication during the day when I would take all my other stuff, and a nurse was the one that says, no, you take that one at night, because that's when your body makes cholesterol. Right. No doctor said that. They will just throw things at you,
and they never tell you.
And they never tell you things. So a lot of times we're also taking medications wrong. If you don't have insurance, you're trying to stretch it out, because I know I just came on Medicare and stuff is still expensive. But and then there's the Medicare gap, which is a whole nother thing. But so you're going to end up like taking medication and trying to stretch it out. Well, maybe I won't take it a day because I don't have enough to last. So there's all kinds of things that worry us, and so they worry our children.
Yes.
And that's the thing. And we need to make sure that we're not giving them a reason to worry. While we still can think, while we still can reason, while we still can advocate for ourselves, while we still can go to the doctor and pay attention, we need to do that for ourselves so that we don't become a stressor for our children who have to worry about us as they're starting their lives.
Yeah.
And my kids are always giving me advice, and I will listen, because, they're all young, they're all active. The funny thing is, like, I have this boot camp gym that I go to, that when I had an injury, I wasn't able to go for like a month. And Eric was, what? I'm still paying for this place and you haven't been? But I don't want to cancel that. So I just called them and said, can you just put a freeze on it?
Yeah.
And I will be back, because I knew if I cancel it, then now I'm really lazy. Now I'm really not going to go, and on the days that I don't work, I don't get up at 5 a.m. to be there at 6. I will go at the 9 o'clock, but then your day is like almost gone, if you know what I mean. But and I took on Buddy Day, I brought Eric to the gym with me, and he worked out and then came back and said, I ain't never going to that place again. You do this every day.
Yeah, that's what it takes. Well, you do have to have some type of an exercise routine. And
even if it's just walking. Even if it's walking. you know, the best thing, you know, I'm a dog person. So the best thing is having a dog. Now she's older now and I'm older now. So sometimes we don't do the full 5 miles. Maybe we only get 2 in, or we on a good day we'll get 3 in. Plus it's cold. But on good days when we're both not old ladies, we can go. And I used to do that like 5 to 7 days a week. I'd go and get my 12,000 steps in, you know, and even that would help. I also dance a couple of times a week. So, you know, do fun things.
Yeah, roller skating. You can still do
that you enjoy. If you don't enjoy it, you won't do it.
You won't do it, or you look for a reason not to.
Yeah, I love running, but since moving down here to Florida, it's like after March, I have to do something else. It's too hot for me. If I can get in a couple of 5Ks before April, I'm really proud of myself.
Yeah, I mean,
I just don't like heat.
Yeah. You know, the thing about it, if you don't like something, you'll do it a while and then you'll stop. So do something fun, like a dance class, or
especially if you don't see results right away. And that's the thing, is that I do the worst thing is that I get on the scale every day. And I don't let it dictate how I feel or what I eat, but I just kind of keep where it is. So one day I may be, you know, I may climb up 5 pounds. So, oh, what did you do? Well, you did nothing. You sat all day, and then you know, and then I'll have a day where I'm down 5 pounds, or I'll lose 6 pounds. And
you're like, what happened? Where was that?
What did I do? Well, I walked more. I did more of my dance class. You know, I walked from the station. You know, after my class, I walked a little bit farther. Then it was a nice day. So, you know, you kind of get these steps in and you get these things in, but you do things that you enjoy. I love listening to podcasts. So I'll take the dog out and then I can listen to my podcast and, you know, and laugh or listen or whatever I'm doing. But you have to do things that you would like to do. Anyway, because if you're doing the rowing machine and you always hated the rowing machine, if you're doing the treadmill, but you always hated the treadmill, you know, you'll do it for a while, like you said, Naima, and then the first chance you get to stop, you're going to stop, and it's going to be
a long time
to get back. And then, but that's the thing is, and we all, you know, a lot of us like to dance. So I dance. I've tap danced for 30 years, actually more than 30 years. And I'm in a good group with people who are like around my age, so I don't feel like I'm competing. And I do Zumba, I do, you know, modern dance, I do all these kind of fun things that I like to do. Now the Pilates, I know I should do it. I don't do it as much because I don't like it as much. But I try, you know, because I know that those are things that are good for me. So sometimes you could like bite the bullet and do something like do the weights or do the Pilates. Yoga is always good for flexibility, and meditation for peace of mind. So we're doing things, we're thinking about we as adults can do so that we don't act like recalcitrant children, you know, to our children, you know. Because that's true. A lot of it is like, oh, I'm grown, I know how to take care of myself. When actually, yes, you're grown, but your children are going to be the ones responsible for taking care of you if you don't take care of yourself.
Right. And if you have a stroke, I mean, that's it. You know, you are going to
changes everything. That really does.
It changes your life and it changes their life. And that's why they worry if, you know, if they see the signs. And we do have to listen. I mean, you know, I laugh about it, but if I have too many people telling me that I'm forgetful, I start to think, okay, is it stress or am I trying to remember too many things? You know, I do not claim Alzheimer's, but
if you don't get enough sleep, you will.
I do have to change habits because that will affect your brain. It'll affect your brain health. And so anything that you can do,
sleep is important. Enough sleep is important.
Right. You do have to, I mean, even drinking enough water, you know, things like that. So, and the good thing about all of our children are very health conscious, which is good because that kind of changes that sick care mentality of, oh, well, you're going to have a medicine cabinet full of pills by the time you're 60 because that's just how it is. No, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. If you take care of your body, get enough sleep, get enough water, get enough exercise, and eat the right foods, you really can maintain a healthy body, and you don't have to live off of pills for the rest of your life, and your children won't have to worry you sliding out of here early.
Yes, and be mindful of good health care, which means good eye care and good dental care. If you don't
Yeah.
take care of your teeth,
Exactly.
you will, your whole body breaks
It affects
down.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's everything.
Yes, absolutely.
And that
And
can be hard. I remember walking down the street when I was visiting mama and seeing someone I didn't even recognize her, and she had no teeth in the front of her mouth, and she just looked
exactly.
haggard. And I made that comment to my dentist, and she said, a lot of low income families cannot afford good health care, and it's really not her fault that her teeth are falling out. But there are so many things that you can actually do for yourself in terms of good care, even if you can't afford to go to the dentist all the time. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices in other ways.
And you
Maybe
know
you don't
what?
want to go to the hairdresser,
Truthfully,
go to the dentist.
truthfully, dental insurance is a lot less expensive than a lot of other insurance. So
Well, one of the things you want to do is make sure you get your children in the habit of good dental care.
yeah.
Brushing your teeth, cutting down on sugar does a whole lot to preserve your teeth. So if you have
And
that
and
habit
and
early,
go to the dentist. See the
go to the
dentist twice
dentist
a year.
and get cavities fixed before they end up teeth that have to be extracted. Well, anyway, we've got to go. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Three Black Moms, and follow us on Facebook, Three Black Moms, and tune in next week, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern, for Three Black Moms. I'm Naima.
I'm Cheryl.
I'm Barbara. We are Three Black Moms. Thank you for watching. Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're 3 Black Moms.